Live from a bunker in the heart of the Ozarks, a podcast that's so specific about being party-sized that we underlined it twice. It's Sif Pop. Welcome to Sif Pop Weekly, streaming live most Fridays, or available to download later in your podcast feed, unless, of course, you're a patron.
Patrons get perks!
Patrons get those perks.
Pizza Dude's got 30 seconds.
I'm your host, Aaron Dicer, and I've been training him since he was a baby. We have a special bond. It's Andrew Ormsby, ladies and gentlemen.
Ahoy!
Each week we'll chat about movies, TV, and from whatever else from the pop culture universe is on our minds. And please welcome our guest this week. Am I supposed to record everything he says? Because a lot of it's dumb. It's Ian Whittington!
Hello! No arguments here. That is 100% true.
But that's why we love you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Welcome back, Ian. How have you been? How's life? How's stuff? How's the UK? Everybody holding up over there?
I think that's a good summary, isn't it? It's another week. It's another disaster in media and entertainment, and the world is horrible.
Sounds like you're stateside.
I mean, it's no different here, other than we get it slightly later. We'll just get a release date later on. I'll tell you something that is annoying me. Lower Decks. Star Trek Lower Decks. I don't know when that's coming to the UK because it keeps moving around. So I'm grumpy.
Give me a V. Give me a P. Give me an N.
Doesn't work with certain streaming services.
Give me a T. Give me an O. R-R-E-N-T.
We are, of course, spelling nonsense words that mean nothing.
Yes.
We have no idea what those mean. Do you have your?
I was going to spell torrential, but I just got tired.
Has your current prime minister lasted longer than a head of lettuce? That is the question.
Mr. Rishi Sunak. He has. He's currently lasted longer than the king. It's kind of a toss-up which one's going to disappear first.
Fair enough. Well, always good to get the scoop from the inside.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of fun in store. We've got an aquatic-themed show today. We're going to be talking about Andrew's favorite animal, the shark, as we look at Meg 2, the trench, and then Ian's favorite animal, the turtle, as we talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't know. I was hoping it was true. I was hoping it was true.
You can make any intro you want if you're just going to lie.
That's right. Thank you. Now you understand how podcasting works.
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. We're going to talk about that one as well. Our best ever challenge is aquatic animal titles. So movies that have an aquatic animal in the title. And we'll count those down. Of course, we'll do some buried treasure and that kind of stuff as well. Before we get into it, we are a month away from the end of the Summer Sum Game. Do you want, Andrew, I will let you decide. Do you want to check in on the Summer Sum Game and kind of see how things are going? Ian is vehemently saying no.
Stupid game. It's so dumb. I don't know why anyone participates in it. It's just stupid.
All right. Well, Ian, you are way up towards the top right now, but if you don't want to play, no,
Wait,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You are in 53rd place out of 60. So
Dead Reckoning stuffed me so hard.
Yeah, you had it number 1 and it didn't. It's not even going to make the top 10 of the summer.
Wild to me, but I did go into it with zero research. I just went pure gut instinct.
So
Because I was late.
here's Ian's problem, and since Ian, you're not necessarily on the show all the time, we'll go over your choices here. You have Dead Reckoning at number 1. Do you remember what you put at number 2?
I do.
Yeah, something else that's done terribly
The
as well.
Flash.
The Flash.
You have
Yeah,
at number
another
2.
one that tanked, and then I think Faster X is up there as well.
And that might not be in the top 10. That might get pushed out. We don't know.
I just bombed hard.
Indiana Jones, you have right around the right place. Then you had Spider-Man, which is much higher than you had it. Transformers, you're pretty close on. Little Mermaid was quite a bit higher than you had it. Guardians was a lot higher than you had it. Elemental you chose pretty closely on. You had it at number 9. And Elemental has been like the weird, strange animal of the summer where when it came out, everybody was like, this bombed. And it's just been consistently every week bringing in money and not dropping very much.
It's a summer vacation thing. It'll just consistently do numbers with kids.
Yeah. Then you had Barbie at number 10. That will be the number 1 movie of the summer. So, and then Oppenheimer, you'll probably get a 0.4.
Yeah, whatever.
Joyride, probably not. Insidious, Fear of the Dark, probably not. But yeah.
I don't understand how movies work.
Andrew is below you, so you can always celebrate our Chat GPT teaming up with Andrew is below you.
Yeah.
Nice.
So there you go.
I got plenty of time. Equalizer 3, still waiting on that one.
I'm in like 20th right now, so I'm not necessarily doing great as either, but I know that I'm just ahead of Alice and Jonathan. So currently I'm leading the 4 of us who did the picks on the show.
Nice.
Right, yes. I think that's how we measure how things happen.
What's hurting you at the minute, Aaron? What did you get really
Same
wrong?
things that are hurting most people. I had Barbie too low. I had... I did good having The Little Mermaid and Spider-Man pretty high. So those are helping me out a little bit. Because I had Guardians, Little Mermaid, and then Spider-Man. But I had Mission Impossible 4th, so that's no fun. But yeah, I need Elemental to keep kind of hopping a little bit up. That will really help me if Elemental can climb a little bit. But
still in theaters?
Oh yeah, it's still making like $8 to $10 million a week. So like it's really interesting. There hasn't been another animated film that's come out this summer that's really, like the family kind of thing that's really challenged it. And until this week.
It's not a kids movie.
Yeah, even that's a little more adolescent than kids. Like, so I don't know. It's going to stop making money eventually, but. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Also, I'm trying to remember, is Barbie at number 1 on this list? Yes. Oh, no. Barbie is not at number 1 on this list. When Barbie bumps down Spider-Man, that's going to help me out as well. Once Barbie passes Spider-Man, that will help me out too because it'll bump Spider-Man closer to where I have it. So, yeah.
Did anybody predict how well Barbie would do?
The highest anybody had Barbie was like 4, I think. 4 or 5. So...
that's wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, we have Caleb had it at number 3.
There it is. Yep. One person had it.
Oh, I lied again. Elizabeth had it at number 2.
Well, there you go.
Nice.
So yeah, there you go. There's a little check-in. We will, of course, do the full follow-up once everything is settled. I do not believe we're going to see anything in this last month climb up there into the top 10, but I've been wrong before. Nobody saw Sound of Freedom coming at all. It's not on anybody's list at all, and that will end up in the top 10. So yeah, it's always interesting. That's why I love this game. You just never know. Ian, I remember having specific conversations with you where you're like, "There's no way that this thing will happen," and I'm like, "I don't think it will either," and it's like, and then it happens.
But,
it's just
definitely.
Who knows?
Never could have banked on Dead Reckoning being such a bad movie.
It's so good though. It's so good.
It's not.
All right. Well, now that we know we can't trust Ian's opinions, we'll get into the movie reviews for this week. Let's kick it off by talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. After years of being sheltered from the human world, the Turtle Brothers set out to win the hearts of New Yorkers and be accepted as normal teenagers through their heroic acts. Their new friend April O'Neil helps them take on a mysterious crime syndicate, but they soon get in over their heads when an army of mutants is unleashed upon them. This comes to us from at least Seth Rogen, I know, who did a little, talk before the movie. Said, thank you for coming to the theater, which is this common thing now. You're welcome, Seth. Thank you for inviting me.
Yep.
And yeah, it kind of brings the Turtles back into our life. It is a more, in my opinion, adolescent version of the Turtles than kind of the ones we usually see. Which the teenage is right in the title. So what did you guys think?
Yeah.
Did you like it, love it, dislike it, hate it, or it was just okay? Andrew, why don't you kick us off?
I liked it.
All right. Andrew liked it. Ian.
I liked it. Exactly the same inflection.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, I liked it.
Hey!
This is the most I liked it movie I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Ian, since you're the guest and we all liked it exactly the same, you go ahead and go first. What are some of the things you liked about Mutant Mayhem?
I mean, I think we're all going to say this. Love the animation style.
No. That's my big negative.
Oh, poo. Well, okay, this is going to make my point sound a bit contrary then. What I love about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is that it's probably not the first one to do this, but it opened the door to, oh, hey, things don't have to look like Disney and Pixar. People will show up and watch your movie if you do something a bit weird. And this kind of feels like that. It's a bit weird. It's a bit different. It's not really like a lot of animation you see in the mainstream. And for the most part, I think me and Andrew actually may end up agreeing just on different ends of the spectrum. For the most part, I really, really enjoyed it. I found it really interesting to look at. Unfortunately, my theater had the darkness like turned down onto energy saving mode or something. Because even compared to the trailer, I watched the trailer afterwards to kind of get a comparison. My theater did something wrong. It was pitch black. It was so dark. And I was like, maybe this is just the mood. That's fine. But yeah, love the animation style. I think the jokes and the kind of pop culture references worked. It's a tricky thing to do, but they weren't mega distracting for me. It worked in kind of like the universe they're sitting in, where the movies are real, Ferris Bueller's Day Off is real, the Avengers are real. That kind of stuff really worked well for me. And just overall, their dynamic, I think it really efficiently introduces us to the Turtles. You don't have to have watched any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle content in order to get this film and enjoy it, in my opinion. I think that's tricky. With the history of TMNT, I think that's a really difficult trick to pull off.
Ian, are you a Turtles fan? Like, have you been a fan of the property before now?
No, this would be the first thing that I've ever watched from the franchise. I've tangentially seen snippets and quite a bit because of working at Toys R Us for 13 years. And during that, along with the Power Rangers, there were so many iterations and reinventions that had merchandise along with it as well. So I'm way more familiar with this than I should have any right to be.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Andrew? What's your history with the adolescent mutant turtles that know martial arts?
I've seen every movie and I've read several of the comics. But
okay, so you have a pretty full experience of the content then.
Yeah. I guess. But I guess I wouldn't say that I'm like, and like I don't want it to come across like I know everything about the Turtles, because I absolutely do not.
Yeah. Well, give us some thoughts. What are some of the things you liked?
Just real quick, I want to add on to the abstract art style that they chose for this film. And that's really why it doesn't work for me, is this anti-asymmetrical, but it's just that doesn't make sense.
So asymmetrical?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but just this art style that they chose for this film, it didn't work for me. The humans especially, and I get what they're trying to say here is that humanity sometimes can be the real monsters, and that's why humans look weird and like, kind of like I'm trying to think of a famous Kandinsky like painting almost, sort of.
The caricatures of themselves.
Yeah, caricatures. And it just, obviously they put the most effort into the turtles and into Splinter and the rest of, the important people in our villains and everything. And everybody else, they just kind of really quickly drew, and it just didn't work for me. I know that I am going to be in the minority on this one when it comes to the design for the art style anyway.
Well, you will at least be the minority on this episode of this show. I do agree with Ian that I found the art style more interesting than Spider-Verse, in my opinion. One of my issues with the animation in Spider-Verse is that it can be distracting and confusing, whereas here I felt like the animation was stylistic, but it was tonally consistent throughout the entire movie, and I never felt yanked out of it by a different kind of thing. Now I get what Spider-Verse is doing with that. I understand it's intentional, all of that. It just impacts me in a different way. So I really did like the animation here. I wish I could remember the name of the artist. It's right on the tip of my tongue. They recently did a full Simpsons intro, but they have this exaggerated squiggly line almost way that they see human beings, and that's who the humans reminded me of in this. And I think that also is intentional, that this movie was almost giving more clarity to the mutant characters than the humans, and the humans became very angular and very different and in different ways. So yeah, I like the animation here. I do get a little bit, I'm not sure I'm sold on the low frame rate style of animation. We've seen this with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. We're seeing it now here with this. I think they call it animating on the threes, which basically means every third frame is a new animation. So they're basically, the frame rate is, slowed down, from 30 frames a second to 10 frames a second. And you see it in the action of the new Puss in Boots movie as well. And it's becoming its own stylistic thing. Great. I get that, that it has an emotion and a feel to it. I just think it kind of steals a little bit of animation's gift, which is to really animate all the moves and all the intricacies of the fight scenes and the ninja movements and everything. It steals a little bit of that joy from me because I'm not seeing all of it. I'm only seeing a third of it, come through. It makes it easier for them, but I think I like more frames, not less. So,
oh boy, you have hit on my number one negative more concisely than I could have done. I think it falls apart in the action. I was just lost in the action completely because it literally goes by in a blur, and I'm just like, what we don't need to Jason Bourne shaky cam this because you're drawing it. You don't have to worry about training these turtles to do kung fu. You can draw them to do kung fu.
Yeah.
I get it. I can't draw. It's hard. But when I see animation and I can't follow the action, I get so frustrated because that is such a missed opportunity for me. And from all of the action scenes just went by in a blur. I switched off. If I wasn't in a theater, I would have been looking at my phone until we got back into the story, etc. And considering ninja is a big part of this, and their kind of signature weapons and signature approaches are kind of a big part of this, that feels like a super missed opportunity for me.
Yeah. Bill Plimpton is, by the way, the name of that artist that I was trying to think of. So if you ever seen any of Bill Plimpton's animation, the humans in this kind of reminded me of how he sees humans in his animated stuff. And I encourage you to look up that Simpsons intro that he did. It's fascinating. Let's talk about some more. Yeah. Do you kind of get that? I know it's not exactly the same, but
no. Yeah. The cross hatching.
Yes.
That cross hatching art style is. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
I will say some of the things that I enjoyed. I think the sense of humor in this movie is really, really good. I think a lot of that does stem from this balance that they have with these teenagers, where they are teenager enough to just be on the cusp of being annoying, but somehow you still kind of love them. Like it just felt like that authentic teen thing where they've got so much energy and they don't know what to do with it, and it's all stored up, and it's just like they're super like there's that thing that they're doing.
But there's an innocent naivete to it too.
Right, yeah. And they go on too long with their bits, but it's kind of hilarious because, they're just learning what it means not only to be a teenager but to be in the human world. So I really enjoyed how much younger they felt and how much it really felt like they were growing into what it meant to be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, they're fun to hang around. They're a fun group to actually be around and chill out and just watch them go on adventures with. I'd love to see a TV show with this voice cast and this kind of attitude towards their adventures.
April O'Neil is one of my favorite things about the movie.
Yes.
I love the actor Ao, who's in The Bear, by the way, one of the main actors in The Bear, Ao Edibin. Also in Theater Camp that just came out. But yeah, I think she's doing great work. I also like the character design of April O'Neil, which is unlike any April O'Neil we've ever seen. And I don't just mean as a person of color. I also mean as a person of curvers. Like there's a body type that April O'Neil has been as a character that emulates the cultural ideal of what it means to look like a woman. And April O'Neil is a beautiful woman, but doesn't look like the typical April O'Neil character does. And I really, really liked that. I thought that was cool.
She just had this perfect level of sass for me, and just observing things, but still going along with it. It never felt like she was speaking down to the turtles. It was always just kind of like, you guys are really weird, but I dig it. I'm kind of with you. And just the way she reacts to, I think this is actually in the trailer. They're like, oh no, our dad definitely isn't a rat. And just the way she delivers that, the way you said that makes me think he is.
Yeah.
It's that matter of fact thing is great. Really well delivered.
Yeah.
Great voice acting.
Go ahead.
Superfly.
Ice Cube.
Superfly. Great villain. I really liked him. Actually, the story arc of the villain actually kind of made sense, and it was actually easy to understand their motivation and everything. I really like that. And of course, Ice Cube is has a very intimidating voice. He's perfect for this film. It's weird hearing him throw 6 a.m. police at my door, and I'm like breaking the fourth wall a little bit there, Cube. But no, I really liked him. I thought that he was really good. Actually, a lot of the supporting cast too, like Paul Rudd Mondo Gecko was hilarious. A lot of the supporting cast was really, really good.
Post Malone as Ray Fillet. Yeah.
I really enjoyed the mirroring between Superfly and the rat Splinter. Thank you.
We don't use that word.
Wait.
Yeah.
In the
2023.
Don't use that word like that. I like. I mean, it's been done before, but I do like the similar experience, different paths thing. I think it's executed really well. It kind of just does a lot of heavy lifting for a short movie and getting us to the motivations of how these people have ended up two sides of the same coin. So I enjoy that.
Yeah.
Quick question, and it's a spoiler for the movie, but it's a quick moment. Did Splinter stab that guy in the face with a sword?
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Yes.
No, with the murdered a man in the face.
Yeah, yes. In the face, right? Like I'm looking at it on screen, and I'm like, I can't look away from it. I'm like,
couldn't stop thinking about it. Rest of the movie. Yep.
Yeah.
Couldn't get away from it.
Put you
that thing
too,
through
right?
That man's eye. Yep. through his eye. He died.
Yeah,
I think so.
Okay.
I only felt like I saw 1/3 of the movement, but yeah, I think that actually did happen.
That's why I kind of like checked the rating because around me there were very young children. I'm like, that's
yeah,
not okay.
yeah.
Other
yeah.
thoughts, positive or negative, whatever you got to say. Now's the time to say it.
There was a
my-
mid-credit scene. The most.
Oh, I left. Good. Can you tell me about it? I don't
It's
say
the
anymore.
It's the most
It's the most
cliched
obvious
and
sequel baiting
obvious
to
thing
ever
you could
sequel bait.
ever see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even need to say who it is, and you know who it is. So, well, maybe not you because you don't know anything about the Ninja Turtles. But for every other person,
I don't know much about the Turtles. I didn't say my background with the Turtles. I have very little background with the Turtles. I saw some of the movies that have come out, most of the movies that have come out. So maybe
Unless
that's
they
why
were in
I
this-
know.
Yeah, unless they were in this movie, I won't know who they are.
Yeah.
I wonder if you'd know the name just because. Anyhow, it's the most sequel baitiest thing to ever sequel bait. So
Okay.
Yeah. Which I will say this.
I mean, it doesn't.
I am excited for a sequel.
It doesn't shred my interest at all in seeing a sequel, but yeah.
Oh, no, I do know this person.
I
Yes.
thought you might. I thought you
Yes,
might.
Yes. I nearly called Splinter that
You
word.
got a boo from Phil, but
Amazing. This is I almost hesitate to say this because I'm going to sound like old man yells at cloud, but my biggest negative with the film is how violent it is, and just stay with me. I know they're Ninja Turtles and it's all violence and that's what the kids love, but this movie's really violent. And maybe it's because I am aging and I was in this cinema on my own, surrounded by more children than I think I've ever been surrounded by since I went to see not Moana, Encanto on my own, and not a very violent film. But I'm just like, man, do we have to? Do we have to make everything fight scenes and attacking and violence and stabbing and shooting and punching and bruising? I'm just like, can we do something else?
you're asking
will
the
now
Ninja
get off my
Turtles to not
soapbox.
fight.
So
I'm
I'm with Andrew on this. And you might expect the pacifist among us to jump right in and agree with you whole hog.
No, I know.
I
It's
don't
more of a
though.
general
This is
thought.
actually the kind of violence that I look for in my movie. Like if we're going to have an outlet for like that thing in us that wants to fight for what's right and those kind of things. Justice, that this is the kind of physical violence that works for me because it's fantasy, right? Because it's, it's not only turtles, but they're also using ninja items. The only guns in this movie that I remember were the guns that humans use, and they were kind of like laser pistols, really. Like there wasn't really a lot of like that to me is in apologies. It's the only way I know how to say this, and it's kind of a pun, but like that is the triggering part to me is the gun violence because of what it is in our culture right now. So when it's different than that, I have a little easier time, kind of letting go of that. I didn't think the gore was excessive in any way, and I think you mentioned the one moment where it may have gone too far, in my opinion. But other than that, I thought it was pretty good. I again, I don't know what we expect from a Ninja Turtle movie.
I just saw like I'm talking 7-8 year olds, and I'm just like, man, I'm just being.
Ian, I'll tell you this:
so much
do
violence in
not
the world.
read the comics. Then the
No, I'm
comics
sorry.
are
Yeah,
incredibly
okay.
violent.
Okay, are they aimed at 7-year-olds? I guess they are. I don't know.
Yeah,
Grumpy
definitely
old
don't
man,
read the
get off
comics.
my lawn.
They're like chopping people's heads off and stuff like that. So
Okay, well, that's probably not for kids.
no, they're not. Definitely not.
My one last thing is, at all costs, we need to protect Jackie Chan. He is a treasure, and I'm always glad to see. I love the fact that the animation of Splinter's fighting style in this movie matched him in like Police Story and some other things. Like he's using some of those same moves with his environment. It's the things that he has his own fighting style, and the fact that Splinter kind of adopts that fighting style is really fun.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah,
For me, so I really did enjoy that. There you go. That is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. I welcome a sequel. I don't like to be sequel baited, but I do welcome a sequel. So it'll be fun to visit these guys again and hang out with the team. Let's move on to the next review. Let's talk about Meg 2: The Trench. An exploratory dive into the deepest depths of the ocean of a daring research team spirals into chaos when a malevolent mining operation threatens their mission and forces them into a high-stakes battle for survival. The Meg was, I think, a surprise for a lot of people. The Meg single-handedly won me the Summer Sum game that year because I had it at number 10 and nobody else thought it would sneak in, but it had a crazy opening weekend and snuck into the top 10 at number 10. And I think people enjoyed it, and it was fun. So what about the Meg 2? Jason Statham is back. Giant sharks are back. Some of the other people are back. What did you guys think about this movie? Did you like it, love it, dislike it, hate it, or it was just okay? Ian, you get to start.
It was okay. Low side of okay. I can see myself going into liked it by the end of this conversation. But
okay, all right. Okay. Andrew
did not like it. Boo, movie. Boo.
I am on the high side of didn't like it. I did not enjoy this either.
This is going to make it sound like I loved it.
Yes,
you did.
You clearly thought this was an amazing movie. So Ian,
number one of the year.
Tell us why you loved this movie so much.
Oh, goodness. This is exactly what I expected the Meg to be.
That's a great way to say it. I think that's a great way to say it. Yeah,
it's exactly what I was anticipating when I threw the Meg on. This is, thank goodness Jason Statham is in this because it's missing everything else. This is missing the heart, the quippiness, the humor, the stuff that the Meg that set the Meg apart from Sharknado and all of these other big monster things was the quippy interactions between people, the heart between Jason Statham and I've forgotten all of their names, but the little girl and the love interest. I know they're much more than that, but their reaction and interactions, the side character, I'm going to end up reviewing the Meg. the side characters, I cared about them. The red shirts in this one, they didn't give me a reason to care about them. It jumps the shark so much and so literally. But it misses that balance for me. It misses the balance of genuine threat and then ridiculousness.
Wait, that moment was in the trailer?
Yup. That moment is in the trailer, Aaron.
I'm sorry to those just listening to the show, but the trailer is showing right now, and there's a moment.
Massive spoiler.
There's a moment in the movie that is a shocking moment, similar to another shocking moment in another shark movie, but a very shocking moment, and it's in the trailer, and that just blew my mind. I don't know why I get my mind blown by trailers anymore. Sorry to interrupt, Ian. I couldn't believe what I just saw with my eyes. So
massive. I don't have to talk about it later. Massive spoilers in the trailer. So I think that's my overall thoughts, is that everything that made the first movie unique, this one either forgets about, or as many sequels do, decided there was something else about the Meg that we liked and doubled down on that instead. And I wish they would listen or be aware of what we liked about their first movie.
Andrew, some thoughts?
Hate sharks.
Yeah. How is it for you to watch a shark movie?
Yeah, I watched it. If you guys want to see something funny, there's a video on my old YouTube channel where I had a VR experience in a shark attack simulator.
Why did you do that to yourself?
Views, because I was needing those views back in the day. And
Andrew reviewing the Meg 2 is like me reviewing Fall. If you remember that review, I was just like, exactly. I hated this movie. I hated every second of being in the theater. I hate heights.
You couldn't be objective about it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, I guess the biggest pro I have for this movie is this movie kind of forgot that it was about megalodons for like a really
Right?
good amount of this movie. It forgot it was about sharks. And, and I was like, all right, I like this.
Yo.
There was time for the megalodons to go extinct again and come back again by the time we saw them.
Exactly. It was ridiculous. This one felt so much more Sharknado-esque than like it was like top tier Sharknado, don't get me wrong. But
Right.
it's
I mean, the money is on the screen. Like there are definitely some images in this movie.
The CGI is impressive for
Yeah.
The type of movie that they want to make. So yeah, I'll give them props for that, and also props for not having a lot of sharks in it. So, but for most people, if you're going into this movie expecting to see a whole lot of sharks eating a whole lot of people, you may not be getting what you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna suggest you show up 90 minutes late. I'm gonna suggest that, and I'm almost not even kidding. I almost feel like you could walk into the last half hour of this movie, maybe 45 minutes, and have a really good time. I think
that you need from it. Yeah.
In my review, I said when the shark finally hits the fin, things get really, really interesting and really fun. And I believe that. I had a lot of fun with the last 45 minutes of this movie. It's that permagrin thing where I realize I'm just grinning at the ridiculousness of everything that's going on in front of me.
Yeah.
And when the movie is doing that, it can succeed on that. The problem is when this movie is not doing that, it is doing nothing. There is nothing to latch onto. There is nothing going on. I think it wants us to latch onto the relationships, but it's not telling us anything really interesting or new about them. We're not having time to really connect to why we love these characters or why we love them together or, why we need them to live or don't want them to die.
They're just hoping we remember stuff about them from the last movie.
Was I supposed to rewatch the Meg before I saw this one?
Not only does the fun of kind of the mania not kick in until the last 30 to 45 minutes, they don't even use their best side character hardly at all until the last 30 to 45 minutes. Yeah. And that was a weird choice to me as well. So I think maybe we're supposed to be interested in the mystery. That mystery is not a mystery for but like 10 minutes, and it doesn't
evaporates.
It just quickly. And so it's like the movie does not understand what to do with its first three quarters. And that's a problem. And so, because there's a possibility, and it wasn't this for me, but I can imagine it being for a lot of people, that it's just not savable by that time, by 90 minutes in, that you're already so done with it that even that last 30 minutes of mayhem isn't going to save it for you in any way or make you enjoy it. So
if anything, for me, it's even more jarring because like that last half an hour feels like an entirely different movie, and it feels like we were stalling to get to that point. It's
probably because they were
jarring. Exactly. It's such a jarring experience.
Yeah.
By the way, can our evil corp be more evil corp?
It's pretty over
some
the
of those
top.
My goodness, those line deliveries, I was like,
we're gonna make
exactly how
billions.
There's a moment where two of the evilest of the evil are revealed to be in a relationship. And it comes out of nowhere, and I think the movie means it as like a twist or a surprise, and it makes it's not that it just doesn't make sense, it just doesn't feel authentic, it doesn't feel real at all. And then it wants
she didn't want to kiss him.
There is a moment later where it's like, are you crying? And I'm asking the same thing, like, are you crying? What am I supposed to how am I supposed to connect to this?
What's really baffling about that is that obviously it's meant to, when she passes, it's meant to create some kind of like extra motivation for him, but motivation to do what? Statham didn't kill her. Like, I don't know what's driving him. Like, he's extra mad at the shark. Okay, good deal. Were you not already?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't increase the stakes for him at all. I genuinely can't remember what happened to him.
Now,
I do.
I did leave to go to the restroom during like the end of this movie. Did we figure out what happened to Evil Corp, or did that just stop? Did that?
Spoilers.
Sorry.
I'm
Yeah,
never
that's-
gonna
yes.
watch it. I'm just gonna
All of
yes or no. Do we figure out
all
what
of our
happens?
we know the comeuppance of all of our evil people. Yes, they all get
Yes.
their comeuppance
Okay.
in one way or another. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you
Spoilers.
missed you missed a particular coming of the uppance that while you were away. So, yeah.
And plus, going back to things I hate about this movie, because that's really all I can talk about. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
You,
That's why we're here.
You don't need all the extra stuff. And when I say that, I don't mean just the bad people. They add different creatures in this movie, you know,
It becomes very Jurassic World very quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
which doesn't make sense. How do they breathe? and okay, I'm going to sound stupid and I have to apologize in advance. There's a segment in this movie where they talk about breathing underwater and pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Is that really the science behind it? Like,
I can't imagine it is, but the movie seems convinced. The movie's very convinced that it's
like,
doing the right
have
thing.
you ever heard something so stupid that you feel stupid and you start questioning reality?
It was one of the most baffling things to me.
I think you will be surprised by how much actual science that's based on, but the execution of what you're looking at is impossible. So, like, the idea probably comes again, I have not studied this. This is my guess. My guess is that it does come from actual science, but that the execution is just unrealistic.
It's kind of like, in theory,
Right.
Superman, he could do this, and
Yeah.
this is how he would do it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
We got the next best thing. We got Jason Statham.
Yeah, we do. In terms of the other Jurassic World elements of this movie, it might have the most unnecessary cold open flashback that I have ever seen in a movie. Like, I think the function of that was, here's what a meg is. We had an entire movie that told us what a meg is.
Yeah.
Well, it also
genuinely
didn't
were like,
just-
I don't know how to open this movie.
It didn't just introduce us to the Meg, though. There was another introduction that did a little bit of exposition for us on some things that even Andrew was asking about. But I will say, as soon as the bug appeared on screen, I was like, "Oh, the cold open is the food chain. Got it. Let's move on."
Yeah. It's exactly.
I
like,
know where this is ending. It
And we're
will
all
not be
sitting
a
there going, like,
surprise.
Okay, so now the bug gets eaten by a lizard.
There's always a bigger fish.
Yeah.
Lizard. Okay, big
Yes.
lizard. Bigger lizard. Okay, shark. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It was one of the only interesting visuals in the movie until the last 45 minutes. So it at least served that purpose to have something interesting to look at. Because, again, here's another negative. A lot of the action-y stuff that's supposed to happen in that middle part of the movie is almost indistinguishable. It's so dark. It's underwater. It's you know.
Cannot see a thing.
And there's a lack of, especially in the underwater stuff. Again, not in the last half hour so of the movie, but especially in the underwater stuff. There's a lack of perspective, size perspective. It's why Ant-Man Quantumania failed in many ways, because the size changes didn't really mean anything, because you couldn't tell how they related to the stuff around them. When they're underwater and they're dealing with like an underwater base or an underwater sub, we never really get that perspective thing where it's like, oh my goodness, that thing is so huge.
Yeah.
Because it's just, A, we can't hardly see it, and B, it's not up against something we recognize the size of.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just really disappointing.
I also had no idea who was who during those scenes. So I don't know who's being attacked, who I should be worried about. And I don't know if that's deliberate, so that when it's revealed who's still alive, it's like, whew, okay, maybe. But it's just confusing. I don't know who to feel sad about. And because they did such a poor job introducing the red shirts, when a couple of them die, I forgot who they were. And I was like, wait, what was the redeeming thing? Which one was the guy that likes the things? And which one is the woman that likes the other thing? I just didn't. I'd yeeted everything about them out of my brain already.
There is a moment in a death in this movie that I think is kind of cruel. in the way that it plays with the audience. And I don't know where that line is for a lot of people, but for me, there's one particular death. I'll just say the word pressure.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That I found really, really cruel. I don't know what it was that made that one different. Probably its proximity to not being a death, maybe. But yeah, I for whatever reason that death annoyed me.
Well, what does it do for the movie? It doesn't drive anyone. It's just miserable.
Yes.
It's nothing gained by doing that.
Correct. That's very much what I was saying.
According to the movie, she should have just got rid of her air, like Jason Statham. Just breathe out.
Yeah. There's a solution to this. Yeah. All right. Final thoughts on Meg to the Trench. What is your one last thing, Andrew?
Thank goodness there's no post-credit scene.
Ian.
I find it really, really hard to not root for the sharks because they're just living. Mm-hmm. Like it's genuine. Like this was an issue with the first movie, where the first movie kind of saves it because I like the people. This movie, I do not care because the sharks are just swimming about and eating things as sharks are wont to do, and we're out murdering them. It's very hard for me to get on board with that. Sharks didn't really do anything wrong here.
My final thought is thank you for Paige Kennedy. I thought he was a lot of fun when the movie finally decided to use him in the final 30 to 45 minutes. Enjoyed that comic relief and that energy. So
that's what I'm talking about.
Exactly. There you go. That is the Meg to the Trench. For those who are watching the video, we now have a picture of Andrew fighting sharks in VR for you to take a look at.
Yeah. Thanks, Phil. You're great.
Reason to show up for the live show or on YouTube after the fact. You can go check it out on YouTube if you want it. Sif Pop YouTube. All right, let's move on to the best ever challenge. But before we do, thank you to our Sif Pop members. Appreciate you very, very much. You are the reason we do a members only pre-show that we do for you guys. Andrew sets that up, do a lot of the listener questions, those kind of things. You can check it out as a member if you go to patreon.com/SifPop. You'll have your own podcast feed where you can download to whatever podcast player you listen to, and it'll have all the main episodes as well as all of the bonus episodes all the way back to the beginning, I think. So you should be able to have access to those. So check that out again at patreon.com/SifPop. And thank you for supporting what goes on at SifPop. We appreciate it. On to the best ever challenge, best ever aquatic animal titles. These are movie titles that have an aquatic animal in the title, as do both of the movies this week. The Meg is an aquatic animal, and a turtle is also an aquatic animal. Ian has warned me that we may want to have our veto cards ready for some of his choices. So we have been warned. I only have
especially for my honorable mentions. I had a good time with the honorable mentions.
I'm excited to hear it. I have one honorable mention that probably fits into that category, but for the most part, I think mine are... Well, no, I've got one that my number 5 stretches it. I'll start with my number 5, and we'll see if you guys think that this works. But yes, we will go number 5 to number 1. If you have something higher than somebody else when they mention it, make sure that it gets trumped so that we talk about it with whoever has it the highest. All right, my number 5 aquatic animal title is the sea beast. Sea beast is an aquatic animal, right? That counts.
It's made up, so yeah, of course it is.
I just really like
saying Godzilla. You might as well just put Godzilla, but sure, go for it.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, I think Godzilla would count. And now I know Andrew's number 1. This is a really, really fun animated movie. Really well done. Beautiful message. Beautiful themes. This is so many things that the Meg thinks it is, but isn't. With giant sea creature adventure, and it really is in many ways How to Train Your Kraken. But it is still a lot of fun. So I really enjoy the Sea Beast. Ian, what is your number 5?
I'd just like to say that anything is an aquatic animal once.
If you try hard enough.
If you
Yes.
try hard enough. It just may not last very long.
Correct.
It could have opened it up, but I didn't. Okay?
Good. I'm glad you're not going that far. The Lion King. I've seen him in water.
Now, number five. Number 5 is Aquaman. He's an animal.
Yes.
He is aquatic.
He's an aquatic.
Is that a type of animal? An Aquaman?
A human is a type of animal.
Human is a type of animal.
Human is not in the title.
Aquaman. Man. Man.
You're actually,
so
you know what? Aaron is right. It's not in the title.
Are you saying humans are aquatic animals?
I'm saying this human is an aquatic animal.
So again, what is the animal? Is the animal an Aquaman?
An Aquaman.
So an Aquaman is a type of animal that is in this title.
Yes.
Okay, Ian.
I mean, you can veto me if you want.
Continue on.
This was Aaron. This was the best of them. This was the one that was closest.
Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing.
I like this movie. Jason Momoa is charismatic, magnetic, all of those things. I had a great time. The visuals a little bit distracting. Anything underwater, a little bit distracting. It's kind of a problem for this kind of movie, but it's fine in terms of the DC slate that we had and still have. This is still up there as one that I had a good time with.
All right, Andrew, what is your number 5?
My number 5 is Blackfish.
Yeah, I had that in my honorable mentions.
Haven't seen it. I saw it on a lot of lists.
Yeah, great documentary about orcas in the wild and also about the orcas in captivity and the differences and like the traumas that they endure is truly heartbreaking. I know that the documentary gets a lot of flack for being sensational with a lot of its claims and stuff, but there is something humbling about it, and also what's a good word for it? Besides eye-opening, it's a revelating film about what's going on with them. So I highly recommend it. Get the tissues ready whenever you see it, though.
Yeah, there were many documentary choices. In fact, I have a couple documentaries in my top 5 as well. And Blackfish just missed the cut. It's well worth checking out that documentary. All right, on to our number 4s. I have a documentary at number 4. My Octopus Teacher comes in at number 4.
That's my first honorable mention.
I love this documentary. There's so much interesting recent and even non-recent study about how intelligent octopuses are and the way that they interact with the world. And this movie will open your eyes to how much intelligence is happening in this animal. It's a heartwarming story, a heartbreaking story,
Yes.
and it is also an absolutely mind-blowing story. So I highly recommend My Octopus Teacher for a watch sometime. I think it's on one of the. Is it Netflix? I think it's on one of the streamers. So yeah.
Who knows where it is in England, as always.
Let's see. So, Ian, are we on to your number 4 aquatic animal title? If Aquaman is the best of them, I am worried.
Aaron, we don't have to worry about him trumping us. I guess that's a bonus. You know?
That's true. That's true.
Aquaman's probably the best of my dodgy ones, is what I meant, not the best of my whole list.
Okay, all right.
Here I have number 4, A Fish Called Wanda.
Very nice.
Yeah,
I love that movie.
love this movie. It has the best, I'm going to say, put down insult string from one of the characters that we can't repeat on the show. He just goes to town. It's a great comedy. It's pretty well R-rated. It goes in directions you don't expect. It's just one of these great British comedies that just has an incredible uniqueness to it that I thoroughly enjoy.
It's
Kevin
great.
Kline
It's in
won
my
Best
honorable
Supporting
mentions.
Actor.
Yeah.
Kevin Kline, he's incredible in this.
Yeah.
Just completely different to what you'd usually expect from him.
Yeah.
Yep.
And of course, Jamie Lee Curtis is great in everything. So
and in like 40% of Monty Python, like
and that's what makes it sing. Yeah.
So
actually, John Cleese is uncredited. I guess he was like directing a lot of this film. But
interesting.
I think he directs a lot of whatever he's in just by force of personality.
Yeah.
Probably. Good choice. I like the Fish Called Wanda. Andrew, what is your number 4?
This is going to get Trump, but Duck Soup.
Not by me.
No?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, I love the Marx Brothers. They are just
it's great. Funniest. It's absolutely great. I didn't think about it. I didn't have that one on my brain. I think it would have been an honorable mention for me for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, Groucho, Harpo, Chico, Zeppo, they're the best, just the absolute best. And this one especially, the Fredonia, it's such a classic. Actually, Ian, bump this one up. I would highly recommend that you bump this one up on your haven't seen list.
It's almost
it's a good laugh.
It's almost sad how much the political commentary in this movie hasn't aged. You know what I mean? Like it's
that's a common theme.
Yeah.
A man-child is given unequivocal power to rule a nation. Yeah. I don't know where they got that from.
Yeah, that's way too on the nose.
It's really funny. The Marx Brothers are really funny, and specifically the kind of funny that really appeals to me. Ian, I think you'd have a good time with Marx Brothers stuff.
Nice.
And Duck Soup is a good one. All right, my number 3. I think we're on to my number 3. I have another documentary here, March of the Penguins. I have at number 3.
I actually forgot.
March of the Penguins.
March of the Penwings, according to Benedict. Yes. Morgan Freeman, however, does not say penwing. He actually knows how to say penguin.
Morgan Freeman loves penguin.
Morgan Freeman says penguin.
That's one of the most iconic documentary posters for me in the world. Like, I always remember that poster. It's so freaking
Have you seen the documentary?
I have, when it came out.
It's so good. It's so interesting. It teaches you so much about what the Penguins were going through. It remains important. If you haven't seen March of the Penguins, I still recommend you see it. It's really, really good.
Life as a penguin sucks.
It really does.
It really does. So hard. I'm so glad I'm human.
As if they don't have it bad enough, and Benedict Cumberbatch can't even pronounce their name. It's come on.
The irony of a man with a name that complicated getting penguins wrong.
All right, Ian, what is your number 3?
Black Swan.
I like it.
Oh, freak. Forgot.
Aquatic animal. I think it is. Swans are. They
this absolutely counts. We counted Duck Soup. Right. We're counting Black Swan. Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Love this movie. This was one of the. I was. When did this came out? I feel like 2008 feels right. Something like that. It's a long time ago.
We have the technology. You keep talking, and I will let you. I will let you know.
I obviously at the time I only knew Natalie Portman from Star Wars.
2010.
Okay. Oh, I was close. I only knew her from Star Wars, and this was one of those films that I watched where I was like, actors can do other things. Like, it's really hard when you see them in something big for my young 18, 19, 20-year-old brain to then disassociate them from what I saw them in that big movie. And this did that for me. And it's not an easy watch by any means, but it is an incredible performance and a really great movie.
Yep. Good choice. Another one that didn't come to mind. I never got to the aquatic fowl part. The penguin was as close as I got. I didn't think about ducks and swans. But yeah, that one would have been in my honorable mentions as well. Andrew, right? We're on to you for your number 3.
Yeah, Black Swan would have been my number 3, so you can bump this down to my number 4, and that's The Whale.
Yeah, you liked The Whale.
I haven't seen it yet.
Whale. Yeah, what a happy-go-lucky movie. It nothing but happy town frolics. No, Brendan Fraser gives obviously a stellar award-winning performance, but so does everybody in this movie. I think that he gets a lot of attention because his is obviously the most difficult, but don't let that fool you into thinking that he's the only one giving a good performance, because I think that Sadie Sink is, Ty Simpkins, Hong Chow is I think she is beyond stellar in this film. I love the story of a man just doing everything he can for his children, even though what he wants to do for his children isn't honestly what's best for him. But he just it's a metaphor for giving, like how a parent just gives and gives and gives. And I obviously know all about this as a parent. But no, I've met a few parents, and
Some of my best
some of my best
some of my best friends are parents. Yeah.
We don't really
But
need
no.
me and Aaron on the same on the
That's
show
right.
at the same
That's right.
time.
We have the
ever.
same brain.
Love it. But no, Darren Aronofsky, he gets me with some of his movies. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't like Noah. I don't think that one. Really
Well, I
hit
mean,
me.
we have 2 Darren Aronofskys in a row. Black Swan is also Aronofsky. So, like,
Exactly,
you know,
that's true. So I would have had to. So he just needs to keep coming out with aquatic animal movies, and he could just have my entire
you
top
just
5.
own the list. Yeah.
Yeah.
On to our number 2s. This is where I have Big Fish.
Me too.
In at number 2. Oh, nice. We both have it at number 2.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh,
Go watch it.
Oh.
Yeah, this is my favorite kind of Burton. And I really, really love what this movie is doing, what it has to say, how it says it, the emotion of it, the truth of it. There's an authenticity in how it's explaining stories and what they mean to people, and how there's a tendency to dismiss things as exaggeration or dishonesty and not understand that there's a truth lingering underneath, and that storytelling can lead us to truth even more than just telling the truth can lead us to truth sometimes. Just a really beautiful, beautiful theme and metaphor going on here. And some great performances as well. Andrew, what did you want to say about it?
I just actually, for not too long ago, rewatched this movie. And yeah, it made me cry so much.
So many tears.
So many tears. But it's such a beautiful film. Again, which we just talked about in the last film, talking about parents. This is a different type of parenting. This is trying to make the world seem more magical and brilliant than it really is for your children. To make them believe in miracles and wonders and magic and stuff like that. It's truly the magic of storytelling. That's what this movie is about. It's about the magic of storytelling, and I dare you to watch it and not cry.
Challenge accepted.
Do it, Ian. Do it.
Ian has famously never cried in his life.
Never.
So not once.
I
Not
have
once.
been diagnosed with underproducing tear ducts.
That's not a joke.
Genuinely. That's not a joke.
That is not a joke. He literally has. All right, you're number 2, Ian. What do you got?
Oh man, this is the one I've been dreading. Before you veto me,
Oh,
no.
God.
Oh no.
before you veto me, hear me out. Finding Nemo.
Yeah. I'll
Now-
veto that.
No,
I
no, no.
can't. I don't have
Wait.
veto powers. I've already vetoed this year.
Kids now, ever since Finding Nemo came out, they would say, "Look, there's a Nemo." Clownfish have now become colloquially Nemos. There's a Nemo. There's a Nemo. There's a Nemo fish, and I think it's in the cultural dialect enough that we now call them Nemos.
It's almost impressive how much you act like you believe what you're saying.
You know what, Aaron? He wasn't talking to us. He's trying to convince himself.
He is. He's just looking in a mirror and trying
Just
to
wait until my
listen.
honorable
You're
mentions.
never gonna have me stop somebody talking from about how amazing Finding Nemo is. So feel free to espouse the amazingness that is Finding Nemo.
Oh, it's
Just
great.
force it right into this category.
Oh, I thought I could do it, but clearly I can't.
That's right. You think you can do these things, Ian, but you just can't.
Just can't.
Oh, it's great. I don't know how many times we've talked about Finding Nemo on this show, but yeah, it's great. It's top tier Pixar. It's what Pixar does best. Finn Noggin is a daily thing I say to myself as I live alone, but still made a particularly good sandwich. Finn Noggin.
Ian's just around in his living room. You touch the butt.
Yep. Every time I go to the bathroom. Yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah, it absolutely is a great movie that absolutely fits this category easily without any forcing at all.
It's Nemo fish.
On to number ones.
On to our number ones. I have The Red Turtle at number 1. And if you haven't seen The Red Turtle, this is a beautiful animated film. It came out in 2016. And it's really, really moving. It's not a Miyazaki film, but it has that feel. I think it is Studio Ghibli, though. I think it is actually a Studio Ghibli film. But it's beautiful. It's metaphorical. It will have some story turns that surprise you, bring you emotion you weren't ready for. This is a great movie. This is just a great movie. So I wanted to get it out there. Have either of you seen The Red Turtle?
No.
Nope.
Yeah. Not enough
Ian,
people have.
Do you know what movies are? You haven't seen anything that we've been bringing up in this best ever challenge.
Hey, I've watched that dragon movie that you talked about, Reign of Fire. I saw that movie.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you did.
That one does not fit this category.
More than my number one does.
Wow.
All right, Ian, it is to you for your number 1. What is?
I don't want to argue. Jaws.
Because kids, right? Kids are like, look, there's a Jaws fish.
Yeah, it's Jaws of sharks. It's just, you know what I mean. You know what I mean when I say Jaws. I mean sharks.
I
really
you have given up.
with this list.
You have just given up.
I really gave up. Jaws is great. You should watch Jaws if you haven't seen Jaws. It's shark movies done right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yes,
it is.
Yes. Not this list done right, but Jaws movies, shark movies done right.
Hey, you just did it! You just said Jaws movies about Jaws.
That's right.
Yep.
There are several of them. Andrew, what is your number 1?
Well, according to Ian, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I'm just going to start listing off my favorite movies. No,
that's right. Singing in the Rain, my number 1 aquatic animal movie.
Aquatic.
Yes.
Aquatic.
Actually, you gave me the go-ahead earlier when we first started, so I'm going to say my number 1 is Godzilla from 1954.
There you go. Nicely done.
That's what I should have done.
See, I already told Phil he's Johnny on the spot with the image and everything.
There you go.
Yeah, I've talked at length about my love for this movie and how important it is, so I will spare you the repetition.
Yep. There you go. There are our best ever aquatic animal titles. We do have some honorable mentions. Ian,
boy, howdy do we?
Do you want to go last? We should let you go last, and we will just laugh nonstop at your wit and wisdom. Andrew, why don't you start us off? What are some of your
we've already cleared mine. So.
Okay, so I've got The Meg, which I enjoy in my honorable mentions. The Squid and the Whale, I think, is worth mentioning, the Noah Baumbach film. Princess and the Frog, I think, is a good movie. I enjoy that one. The Lobster is the only Yorgos Lanthimos movie that I kind of enjoy, so I thought I would mention that one. And Mr. Popper's Penguins is a fun little Jim Carrey performance that a lot of people, it flies under the radar, or the radar. So those are my honorable mentions. Oh, and one more that's a little bit of a cheat.
Aaron, prepare to be judged.
Searching for Bobby Fischer.
Oh my gosh,
that's outrageous.
Do you want to know what the gurus chose?
Yeah, what did the gurus choose?
So number 1 is The Whale. Number 2 is A Fish Called Wanda, which surprised me. I'm glad though. I really am glad. And then number 3 was Red Turtle.
Oh, nice. Love for the Red Turtle. Ian, regale us with your clear choices for aquatic animal movies.
I think I should rearrange my actual list now with some of these, because some of these might actually be closer. So we've got Crocodile Dundee.
That works.
Counts.
That,
That
that should have been on your
completely
list.
Yeah, that counts. Good, funny movie. Octopussy.
I would count that. I would
Yeah, that one
absolutely count
counts.
that. Yeah.
Octopus. It's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I don't like that movie at all, but it's in the honorable
Well,
mention.
then it
This
shouldn't
is
be
why
on
I
your
couldn't-
list. We're not just
Exactly.
naming movies.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
But it's fine, but I couldn't put it in my top 5. The Pelican Brief.
That's great.
That counts.
That's the one that I think I'm going to put into my top 5.
Yeah,
instead
sure.
of Jaws and Shunt Them All Up. So Finding Nemo will be number 1, and the Pelican Brief.
No,
is
All
Finding Nemo doesn't count, buddy.
Yeah, you still got to find a
Okay,
replacement
fine.
for Finding Nemo, but yeah.
Yeah.
Dundee. The other one- Reservoir Dogs.
Come on. Like that's a specific breed of dog. Is a reservoir dog? And it's because they're aquatic dogs.
No, they're in a reservoir. You know,
Yeah,
they're
reservoir dogs.
aquatic because they're in a reservoir of water.
Nice try. Nice try.
Yeah, that's my list.
There you go.
Which
Yeah, I
may
think you
have been
swap
better than my
in
actual list.
you swap in Pelican Brief and Crocodile Dundee. I think you've got a legit list there. So
I thought you were
Congratulations.
expecting Aquaman.
well, that's true. We still would have to accept Aquaman.
I'll put Octopussy in there.
maybe
That's
not.
fine. It's fine.
All right, before we head out, let's do some buried treasure. What's that one thing in any area of pop culture you want to make sure that people know about? You're our guest, Ian, so you will go last. Andrew, kick us off. What do you got?
I have a YouTube channel that I think is really, really funny. It's called Flick Freaks. No, I'm joking. It's Charlie Hopkinson. What he does is he deep fakes himself. He's a voice actor, and he can do a perfect Ewan McGregor impersonation. So what he does is he deep fakes himself to look like Ewan McGregor from the Star Wars films, and he sits down on a couch and critiques them as Ewan McGregor. But he also can voice act as Qui-Gon Jinn. He also voice acts as Anakin, and they all just sit on a couch and they kind of do a
Commentary?
MST3K to all the Star Wars stuff. And it is
Interesting.
hilarious. And the deepfakes look, especially the Obi-Wan, look really, really good. It's probably one of the, if not like the top 10 funniest YouTube channels I've ever found.
Very nice.
Does he do Gandalf as well, or was that somebody else? I've seen.
Nope, that's him. He's the one who
That's
does
him
his
as well.
Gandalf
Yeah,
ones
so I have
too.
seen him. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really good, spooky. Like it feels like the real people.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like he's just
It's
sitting on a
hilarious
couch,
and
but
also the downfall of our entire society. Both things can be true. Charlie Hopkinson on YouTube. Okay, I'll have to check that out. I checked out a documentary on Max that used to be HBO Max, but apparently they dropped the HBO because that's going to be better, and then just announced that they lost however many $1 billion the last couple months as well.
Yeah, that was Universal.
No, that was Paramount, but also Max. It's true for both. Anyhow, this documentary is called Glitch, The Rise and Fall of HQ Trivia. How many of you remember HQ Trivia? This was huge for a couple months.
Oh my gosh.
This was a live game show you could play on your phone.
Oh, you talked to me about this.
And you won actual money on this show. And everybody was playing it for like a 3 to 4 month play. There were some people who won more than a couple bucks, but the documentary goes into the fact that was one of the problems with HQ Trivia. But more than that, it really deals with, like many tech bro docs that have come out, this disease of nothing has to be real. We just have to stoke stories and passion or whatever and then sell, right? Like that's the idea of the tech bubble, right? Is that you don't actually have to really do much. You just have to seem like you're doing something and go into as much debt as you want from your investors or those kind of things. There's a lot of turns to this story that you probably don't know about that I found really, really interesting. The heart and focus of the story is the host of HQ Trivia, gives a lot of great interview commentary in this, and kind of is one of those rags to riches to rags stories in many ways, over the course of less than a year, basically, in his life. So, he went from nobody, struggling stand-up comic, to an absolute, he mobbed whenever he was in public,
Scott Rogowski was the most famous man on the planet for
about 3 or 4 months. He really was. Yeah. There were literally over 2 million people logging in to play this game every day there for a month or so. So anyhow, it's a really interesting story. I do recommend the documentary. It is on Max. It's called Glitch, The Rise and Fall of HQ Trivia. Ian, what is your buried treasure?
Well, Phil said it's actually frowned upon to share a buried treasure that I shared the last time I was on the show, which is what I attempted to do because I forgot that I'd recommended Mighty Doom already. So
nice.
Instead, I had to pivot to Hijack, and I apologize if anybody has had this as a buried treasure in previous weeks. I imagine Aaron might have done. But yeah, Hijack
I forget my buried treasures immediately. So this seems like maybe I even did this last week, but I'm not sure.
Nobody's ever done Hijack. You're good.
Oh, amazing. The finale in England only happened this week. It was this Wednesday. So this is an Apple TV Plus Prime Extra Max, whatever it's called, show. I am always cautious when I go into an Idris Elba vehicle that isn't Luther, because for me, no one seems to use him properly, or the mix isn't quite right. He seems to have more misses than hits for me, but when he hits everything for me. And this is so good. If you're familiar with like the 6-part BBC crime dramas that are just really, really high quality and just deliver on the premise and have the right kind of twists and turns that you expect, this is that for me. This felt like an old school BBC drama. It's great. It's obviously, no surprise, a hijacking story with a couple of different unexpected twists on the format and the theme and who Idris Elba's character is to the story and how he interacts with the hijacking. It's great. It's not too cliffhanger baity, while also making you want to watch that next episode. So now that all 7 episodes are out, I apologize. You will lose a day because you will just watch them all back to back. There isn't really a good stopping point.
I got nothing to do tomorrow.
Then Hijack is your day well spent. Get some snacks, get yourself a pizza, and you will have a good day of it. It's just,
and it's really only like 6.5 hours probably total, maybe 6.
So,
yeah.
Is the show in real time?
No, it
has that feel to it. Has that feel to it for sure.
24.
It's not
like
gimmicked
that.
Like 24, but it definitely has the 24 feel to it.
It does, because it's an 8-hour flight and we're there for 6.5 hours. So it's close, but it doesn't tie itself down.
Correct,
to being
exactly.
That, which is a big benefit, and it does itself a service by not falling into the temptation of tick, 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 real time. It does a great job of creating the tension without having to tie itself to that. So yeah, great, well executed hijacking drama.
Yeah, from beginning to end, I really enjoyed Hijack, and I think the Britishness of it all is a really good part of it as well. It feels like what was that Tenet drama?
The court one?
Yeah. It was the name of the city, right?
Broadchurch, you're thinking.
Broadchurch. Yeah, it has like almost a Broadchurch feel to it, like the way
really?
Just the way that people interact, the way that you're seeing the relational drama of people.
And it has the lady from season 2 of Broadchurch in it.
Yes,
the Welsh
it
actor.
does.
Yeah, she's great in everything. Yeah.
I never saw the second season.
It's worth seeing. The second season of Broadchurch is really good. Yeah,
really good.
Yeah, it's definitely worth seeing.
Well, hijack is what my day will consist of tomorrow.
Very
You will
nice.
not be disappointed. Yeah.
That is Hijack on Apple TV.
I've hijacked your Saturday. Yes.
Nice. Glitch, the Rise and Fall of HQ Trivia on Max, and Charlie Hopkinson on YouTube if you want to check those out. Well, we did it, guys. We did a podcast. We grabbed a helicopter blade and sliced right through all the podcasting material today. So congratulations to everybody.
Physics, yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today for Sif Pop. Sif Pop is part of the Studio DNA Podcast Network. You can find out more about other shows on the network at studiodna.media or by searching Studio DNA in your podcast player. Huge thanks to Andrew for hanging out again today.
Thank you, buddy.
Huge thanks to producer Phil for producing the audio and video show.
Thanks, Phil.
And thank you to Ian Whittington for coming by and hanging out with us today. Ian, where would you like to send people to find you?
To another podcast, to Captain's Pod. If you don't like Star Trek, we have at least 2 listeners that do not watch Star Trek and still enjoy the show. So if that's not at least piquing your curiosity,
you can make it 3.
You can make it 3. Thank you for having me, guys. Yeah, that's me.
I'm on a current run on Captain's Pod right now. I hop on when Strange New Worlds is on to talk a little bit about Strange New Worlds. So, so you can check that out at Captain's Pod. Just search for that in your podcast player. You should be able to find it. Much love and gratitude to our Sif Pop members again for giving monthly to make Sif Pop a real thing. You can start your support at $3 a month, and you can look at all the different perks and everything there at patreon.com/sifpop. Lots of ways to connect with the podcast. Feel free to leave a comment, a rating, or a review at Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen. You can also email us, feedback@sifpop.com. And finally, if you're having a good time, your movie-loving friends will probably like this show too. So make sure you let them know about it and that listening is much easier than manually decompressing your nasal cavities. We will be back next week in 2 weeks. Actually, I have in my notes, we'll be back next week in 2 weeks. Great job, Aaron. Great job. Nice. Yes, just read the teleprompter. We'll be back We'll be back in 2 weeks with Blue Beetle and something else to review as well. So we'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you to the live viewers. Appreciate having you along. King5942 in Skoclego. I see your comments. Thank you for popping along with us. Skoclego backing you up, Ian. Technically, humans are animals as well. That was that was not the argument. The argument is, are we aquatic animals? And yes, we go in the water, but I don't think that makes us aquatic animals. But
there's somebody out there that lives more in the water than they.
What would be that different? I think the difference would be like, because a duck doesn't necessarily live in the water, but it goes in the water a lot, and it goes in the water to feed. Maybe like that's part of its actual life cycle is to use the water.
Anything that is part of that animal's life, would make it aquatic.
Yeah, like if it's part of the aquatic food chain, or like there's
that's definitely us then.
Well, we do eat fish. We do eat fish. That's true. Thank you for you guys for hanging out. We'll catch you next time. Bye.